If you're anything like me, you spent most of 2025 doom-refreshing tech feeds, waiting for a new Apple TV that never showed up. We saw the leaks, we heard the whispers, and then radio silence. Total letdown. The current Apple TV 4K is still great, but in a world that moves at 120 frames per second, it's starting to feel a little dated. Here's the good news. That silence wasn't a cancellation. It was a reset. Apple hit pause to push the launch and rebuild this thing from the inside out. And in 2026, Apple TV isn't just coming back, it's aiming to become the most powerful, versatile device in your living room. Let's break down why Apple delayed it. The wild new specs we're hearing about, the real-world upgrades that matter for movies, gaming, and smart homes, the expected price and release date, and whether this is the box that finally earns a permanent HDMI 1 on your TV. So, why the delay? 2 words: Apple Intelligence. Apple is going all in on on-device AI, and the current Apple TV runs on the A15 Bionic, the same chip from the iPhone 13 back in 2021. It's fine for Netflix, but it simply isn't built for modern, on-device AI workloads. A tiny spec bump in 2025 would have aged like milk. Instead, Apple reportedly pushed the timeline to match the silicon with the strategy. Enter the A17 Pro. We're talking 3nm efficiency, a vastly stronger neural engine for on-device intelligence, and a GPU that unlocks hardware-accelerated ray tracing. Leaks point to the iPad mini variant likely with 1 less GPU core, but tuned for cool, quiet, fanless performance. That's exactly what a tiny box living under your TV needs: fast, efficient, and silently powerful. This isn't just an upgrade. It's future-proofing. Now, let's be honest, you don't need an A17 Pro to watch YouTube. You need it for 2 things: gaming and intelligence. Apple has been inching toward console-level gaming for years, and this could be the breakthrough. With the A17 Pro, we're looking at features like Metal FX upscaling and hardware ray tracing that makes shadows, reflections, and lighting feel genuinely cinematic. We've already seen titles like Resident Evil Village and Assassin's Creed running natively on Apple Silicon. Put that power on a 65-inch 4K panel. Pair your existing PlayStation, Xbox, or MFI controller, and suddenly the Apple TV turns into a legit mini console for casual and mid-core gamers who want buttery graphics, without dropping $500 on a dedicated system. And if Apple finally flips the switch on 120Hz support, variable refresh rate, VRR, and auto low latency mode ALM, with a proper HDMI 2.1 pipeline, that's a chef's kiss for responsiveness. Even if those features land gradually tvOS, the silicon headroom means the door is open. Power is pointless without connection. And this is where the networking story gets really interesting. Strong reports point to a custom in-house networking chip designed by Apple to drive Wi-Fi 7 support. For big 4K HDR streams, multi-user households, or cloud gaming, Wi-Fi 7's multi-link operation, wider channels, and lower latency are a genuine game changer. Expect rock-solid wireless throughput and lower jitter, great for streaming, better for gaming, and perfect for multi-camera HomeKit setups. Speaking of the smart home, Apple TV is already a fantastic HomeKit hub. The 2026 model is expected to double down with native thread border router capabilities and Matter controller support baked right in, so your lights, locks, sensors, and cameras can talk locally, instantly, and securely. That means faster automations, fewer cloud round trips, and better reliability when the internet hiccups. If you've been building out a smart home, this box turns into the nervous system quiet. Local private. Let's talk home theater must-haves, because this is the hill many of us will die on. Audiophiles have been begging Apple for true bitstream pass-through, and the 2026 Apple TV is rumored to finally allow raw audio over HDMI to your VR or soundbar for native decoding. Translation: Your receiver handles Dolby True HD with Atmos and DTS HD, and potentially DTS:X, not a PCM conversion from the box. Combine that with expanded support for dynamic HDR formats, Dolby Vision, and HDR 10+, and you're suddenly in top-tier territory that rivals the best streamers out there. Add a modern EARC implementation, and you've got a single device that simply plays nice with the rest of your gear. On the video codec front, another long-requested upgrade is on the table: hardware AV1 decoding. YouTube and other platforms love a V1 for efficiency at higher resolutions and byte rates. With a V1 on board, 4K streaming gets cleaner, crisper, and more bandwidth-friendly. We've all wanted it for years. 2026 feels like the moment. Now let's talk Apple Intelligence on the big screen. This is where the A17 Pro pays off beyond gaming. Expect smarter, on-device experiences that feel instant and private, faster, more conversational Siri with better context, content-aware recommendations that actually make sense for your household, automatic scene suggestions for your smart home, and possibly AI-powered features like live captioning, quick summaries, or smarter search across apps. With Apple's on-device approach, a lot of this intelligence should work even when your internet is spotty and your personal data stays on your box instead of someone else's server. There's also a strong chance Apple ties the new Apple TV to a broader living room refresh. Rumors point to a new HomePod with a display launching around the same time, deepening the ecosystem play. Imagine dropping into a night mode where your Apple TV and HomePod coordinate audio calibration, voice control, and ambient display features, all under the Apple Intelligence umbrella. We've already seen clever tricks like iPhone color balance for your TV panel. Expect more in that spirit. With smarter room tuning, better dialogue clarity, and seamless handoffs between devices. Design-wise, Apple tends to iterate, not shock but a slimmer. Cooler running chassis with improved thermals is likely. Storage will matter more too as games and high-res assets grow. Look for higher base storage and more RAM to keep apps suspended longer and games snappier. The remote is overdue for love. Multiple reports and long-standing user requests point to a refreshed Siri remote with Find My built-in, a backlit keypad, improved ergonomics, and possibly UWB for precision tracking when it gets swallowed by the couch. A dedicated Apple Intelligence button wouldn't surprise me either. So when can you actually buy it? The roadmap points squarely to spring 2026, lining up with Apple's typical hardware cadence and potentially a broader home lineup refresh. That timing also positions the box to launch alongside a major tvOS update built around Apple Intelligence, tighter HomeKit Matter integration, and new developer hooks for high-end games. Here's the best part: price. Despite the silicon jump and next-gen networking, reports indicate Apple plans to hold the line. Expect the base model around $129, with the Ethernet model around $149, in a market where premium streamers can drift toward $200. That is tremendous value for the level of hardware you're getting. Who should upgrade? If you're still hanging on to the old HD model or the first-gen 4K, this is a no-brainer. If you're a casual gamer who wants great visuals without buying a console, the A17 Pro Plus Metal FX and potential 120Hz support could be exactly what you've been waiting for. If you're deep in the HomeKit, Matter, or Thread, the local processing boost and Wi-Fi 7 reliability make this an instant hub upgrade. And if you're a home theater nerd chasing pristine bitstream audio and flawless HDR, this might finally check the last box. A few rapid-fire questions I know you'll ask. Will it support a V1? Strongly rumored and long overdue signs point to YES 4K at 120Hz VRR ALM. If the HDMI pipeline goes full 2.1, it's in play. Watch the spec sheet at launch.